Well, first, I want to thank all of you. I've always heard that democracy is a team sport, but it's also a sport of patience. So thanks for hanging in there with us to hear from each and every one of us tonight. Second, I want to thank Judy and Mara as they head out the door. They're that enthralled, guys. I want to thank them for starting this organization. I remember actually liking this page when I was deployed in Iraq in 2017, just as things were getting started with the resistance back to Trump. So who am I? I'm Zach Beecher. I grew up in Randolph, New Jersey. I'm the son of a police officer and a social worker. I went to college on a ROTC scholarship dedicated to serve. And so the Army, hearing about my fear of heights, decided to send me to the 82nd Airborne Division, where I fell out of a number of perfectly good aircraft. During that time, we learned something that's always stuck with me. The greeting of the day down at Fort Bragg is all the way. It's not just a greeting, it's a promise. It's an urgent call to action amongst every paratrooper you walk by on the street. Because when you descend under silk, under night, under darkness, to confront something that you don't know, to accomplish a mission that must not fail, you know that you and your buddies are your best hope. And so we knew as a platoon, as a company, as a battalion, that we are our best hope. And so when I watched Donald Trump take the oath of office in January of 2017, sitting in Iraq, and knowing that if I was a casualty or was hurt there, that my parents would get a letter from him, if one of my buddies to my left or right was killed there, they would get a letter from Donald Trump. And then I watched my son arrive just 5 days after he was reelected to the presidency again. I refused to give in to despair because I know that we are our best hope. And so that same bias for action that I took into the private sector in order to take innovation and create jobs to support nonprofits across healthcare, critical infrastructure, energy, to work with governors' offices to build strategic plans on how we get unions plugged into the green economy, not just locally or nationally, but globally, to build the next generation of Nokia Bell Labs 2.0 right here in New Jersey so that we, across this great state, can build our future. We knew that we are our best hope. And so now there's an unprecedented challenge. What we saw in Trump 1.0 was a warning to what has become the disaster, the trauma, and the tribulations of a Trump 2.0. Whether it's the big ugly bill, whether it's the challenges that we see against our healthcare, the assault has started, it has continued, and it has aggravated. And let's talk about what those costs are to all of us. My family has members that navigate chronic mental illness. If you're on ACA and you're focused on that care in this state, it could be up to $2,700 per person per year if those subsidies expire. On Black Friday, over 95% of purchases online were financed. 2/3 of them were financed beyond 30 days for Black Friday purchases. Americans are hurting everywhere. We need to be focused on common sense, progressively principled but pragmatically minded policies with a bias for action on affordability and accountability. On affordability, we have to know that saying that we'll extend ACA credits is not enough. Getting creative, expanding, exploring the public option, considering the ways in which we drive meaningful mental health care across this country, focusing on the way that if you have workers on SNAP benefits, you are not eligible for federal tax credits. There are opportunities to lead. We must hear the call, we must take that bias for action, and we must go all the way. Because when we look at one another and we think about the challenge, your challenges are my challenges. We have no other option but to go all the way. Because at the end of the day, we are our best hope. And for me to go all the way, I need your trust, I need your confidence, and I want to work for you every day for results and not more rhetoric in Washington, D.C. I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight and look forward to the conversations later tonight.